am Christie Smythe with the Business of Business. I am talking to David Siegel of Meetup, who has just come out with a book, Decide and Conquer, which kind of summarizes some of his management wisdom as well as his experiences at Meetup, and also with Adam Neumann when Adam Neumann's WeWork bought Meetup. First of all, can you tell me, David, why did you decide to write this book?
Sure. So I teach at Columbia, and I've been obsessed with education my whole life. And when you're a teacher and you have a class, you're a professor, you have 70 students in your class and you help them and you guide them and it's wonderful. But if you want to reach a larger audience, a book is the way to go. I've always wanted to write a book, and I've been obsessed with kind of the fact that people don't realize that we all make thousands of decisions every single day. And we don't necessarily have good frameworks for decision making. We do pro cons list or some very basic urgency importance kind of matrices. But, the science around making smart decisions, both personally and professionally, really important. But I didn't want it to have the standard, boring, textbooky type of thing like most business books tend to be. I wanted to be a crazy roller coaster story with intrigue and suspense. And WeWork made that all happen. Being part of WeWork, getting hired by Adam Neumann, watching WeWork kind of descend from $47 billion down, the interview process, even with Adam, also having Meetup get sold out of WeWork and the entire process around that, and then running Meetup during the pandemic, when you couldn't actually meet up in person, IRL, which is exactly what we've been doing for 18 years and only had meetups in person, having to run that, and then having a company go from an 18 million loss in 2019 to making $3 million in 2020 during the pandemic. It made the books. I just kind of took all the things in my head and in 2 months just wrote 75,000 words, and then we cleaned it up afterwards. And that's what the book is about. It's kind of like crisis management of one crisis after another crisis after another crisis, and kind of the decisions that you need to make and a framework for decision making during that time.
Well, that is a great, this is how the book came about story. You've got all of these things happening at once.
Listen, there's been some incredible, let's take Apple, for example,
Yeah.
right? Steve Jobs was an eccentric, cult-like figure, and that eccentric, cult-like figure was probably critical to Apple's success. Adam Neumann is an eccentric, cult-like figure who was critical to WeWork's success and also was critical to WeWork's failure. So the answer to your question is yes, it was absolutely critical. And I'm happy to share, if you'd like, a couple of examples or stories around kind of that criticality. I think what people don't understand oftentimes about Adam, and I want to give him credit for this, is that Adam genuinely wanted to make the world, and still wants to make the world, a better place. He understands that there's a tremendous amount of loneliness in the world. 46% of people regularly feel lonely, lack of community, and his vision of WeWork helping to drive down loneliness that exists between when people are working, build community for people in offices, was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And he really had his heart in the right places. How he executed against it and how he let his own personal incentives get in the way of it was always kind of a challenge. And the culture that he built at WeWork, which was really a culture of chaos, where multiple people had the exact same job and they didn't even realize that they were doing the exact same thing, where someone like me had 27 interviews to become the CEO of Meetup before I actually got the job. 27, and it just tells you how kind of dysfunctional, because dating is a good prerequisite for marriage. And if you have 27 interviews during the interview process, it could tell you a lot about what's going to happen, actually when you join the company. And I could share a couple of stories if you like, if that's helpful too.
Sure, go ahead. Why not?
Okay.
Got you.
Why not? Okay. So one would be, I think when you're interviewing with someone like Adam, you understand that because Adam has such a craziness about him, that the best way to get a job yourself is to act crazy too. And I understood that. So one of the times that I came in to meet with Adam before our vegan lunch with lots of hummus and, and other things, which of course was how Adam ate, I walked in, I was wearing my white button-down shirt and a pair of jeans, and I saw in the corner of my eye that no one was wearing white shirts and jeans. Adam certainly didn't wear white shirts and jeans. What am I doing? So I saw someone wearing a t-shirt that said Meetup plus WeWork, because WeWork had just acquired Meetup. And I said, okay, what would Adam do? How do I channel my inner Adam here so that, he would be excited about hiring, me as the CEO of Meetup? And I pulled the guy over and I said, let's go into the closet over there. I'll give you my $100 shirt. You give me your t-shirt, and let's walk into Adam's office, and I'm going to wear my Meetup and WeWork t-shirt. So I walked in, and then Adam said, where did you get this? Who you're interviewing for a job. How did you get this Meetup and WeWork t-shirt? So I said, oh, I was able to get the shirt off that guy's back. And he's like, oh my God, if someone could get the shirt off of someone's back, that's someone who I want to hire. So the interview process was kind of like not your typical interview. It's storytelling and talking about, our families and things like that. And then, there was, of course, different times where Adam, pulled me into his office, and we would spend, potentially hours trying to figure out what the company's strategy was. And, there's some funny moments where where he wanted me to take a plane, and I wasn't able to do it because I had a personal commitment. And I told him, I'm not taking a plane with you. And he was very, very upset about me not taking a plane with him. And he basically said, like, how could you turn me down from taking a plane with me? Everyone wants to take a 6-hour plane so we could figure out the company strategy. Ultimately, I said no. And after that, we really didn't talk anymore. He was quite surprised about the fact that I wouldn't kind of take a long plane ride with him just to get stranded in San Francisco and find my way back. I think over time it started to become too much. I think that's the real truth. I mean, there were metrics at Meetup when I joined where the number one metric, one of the top metric, was how many employees you could hire, was like the goal. Now that's not a goal of a typical company. The goal of a company is drive profit, have amazing member experiences, amazing user experiences, not hire as many people as possible. When I joined, the company ballooned from about 130 people to over 250 people. And it was really unsustainable. And we were losing tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
And that's not a sustainable situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate to give the wimpy answer, but the answer truly in the bottom of my heart is both. And I'll just explain. When you're a founder CEO, you have such a deep emotional connection to your company that it can be inspiring for you and ability to inspire others, but it also can be incredibly clouding in terms of your judgment. And the danger of many founder CEOs is that the reason why they founded the company and the success that they had when first founding the company might be because of personal charisma or a partnership that they happen to negotiate in the beginning, or someone that they hired right early stages. That doesn't necessarily translate to being effective later on in building sustainable processes, building infrastructure, building, getting rid of tech debt that had been accumulated over 20 years to be able to iterate quickly, not doing 1,000,001 different things. Many founders and startups die more of indigestion than they die of starvation, because they're doing too many different things at the same time. And they're just trying all these different things because typically that's the way they succeed in the beginning. They did lots of different things, threw a lot of stuff against the wall and saw what worked. So I think when a person comes in like me, what I did is I said, okay, we're doing a lot of different things. How many of those things that we're doing have a strong ROI attached to it? And how many of them are really pet projects or Hail Marys that don't necessarily make sense? And how many of them are we doing just because WeWork happens to be our corporate owner and we would never do to actually help Meetup? So for example, we were investing millions of dollars of Meetup integrating with like WeWork systems to have Meetup events be in WeWork offices rather than plowing the money into better member and organizer experiences. That didn't make so much sense. We were developing a new, completely separate app, kind of outside of the traditional Meetup app, rather than focusing on making the actual current app much better because it's more fun to do a startup-y type of thing. So kind of I came in, and what I did is, rather than saying these are the things we have to change, I got the whole company together for them to identify what we needed to stop doing and what we needed to deprioritize. They then put a recommendation together for me. They said, shut this down, shut this down, shut this down, shut this down. And then within 2 weeks, we were able to shut down 5 or 6 kind of major projects that kind of everyone in the company knew we shouldn't be doing and that were tying up resources. But no one had the guts to be able to say, we have to stop it. And a part of that is because of the sunk cost fallacy, meaning people put so much time and energy into it, they knew it would look bad if we pulled back from it. But when a new person comes in, you can kind of attack it with a completely different perspective.
Yeah, so you kind of need both, I guess.
You really do need both. With that said, sometimes you could be overly heartless, shall I say, and overly rational. And that's dangerous too. And that's why, what we did is we made Scott Heiferman, the founder of the company, who I took over. I was the first outside CEO, the chairman of the company, so that the heart and the soul of Meetup still kind of be a part of the Meetup culture. And our 20th anniversary is coming up actually in a few months, and Scott is going to be speaking at the 20th anniversary. So finding ways of kind of keeping the soul of the company through the founder is very important, but removing the founder from the day-to-day operations and decision-making is probably even more important.
Interesting.
Okay, so picture it. Early March, late February 2020, we're looking at China and we're like, what is going on in China? 95% of our events just got canceled. Oh, this is just like another swine flu. This is just another, thing that happens in Asia that we don't need to worry about ourselves, SARS or whatever. And then we see Italy, this is odd. Look, suddenly everything's getting canceled, all RSPs, but it's never going to happen in the US. I mean, stuff never happens in the US. And then within a week, as we all remember, it hit the US by storm. All of our metrics, our RSPs went down, not by 5 or 10%, went down 70 or 80%. So we're overnight for a 20-year company, our events just cratered, got the whole company together. And by the way, we were in the middle of terms for selling the company at this particular time. The company got sold in March of 2020, give you an idea. So a lot of things happening at the same time, yeah. And we got the whole company together and we said, what's our mission? Is the mission of the company about IRL, in person, or is the mission of the company about real connections? And the answer is it's real connections. And even though beforehand we never allowed Zoom only type groups, we got all of our engineers together. We made a whole bunch of changes to our technology extremely quickly. We rolled out a new version and we brought the head of Zoom in for a training for all of our organizers. There are hundreds of thousands of organizers. We reached out to all of our organizers and we said, now you can do online meetup events. People need you more than ever. During the pandemic, there's even more loneliness and more of a need community than ever. And we started seeing the number of online events going up and up. And we integrated with over 100 different kind of online platforms. Since the pandemic in the 2 years, we've had from 0 to over 5-6 million online meetup events. Over 30 million people have participated in online events, and it's kind of both now. So today, as we stand, literally this week, we're at 68% in person and 32% online, and it varies dramatically. So Texas and Florida are 80+% in person, 90% in person, because it's Texas and Florida. Australia, same thing, very, very high percentage in person. And then other places like Brazil, some Moscow areas in Eastern Europe are a much smaller percentage in person as well, but everything is trending to more and more in person, but we're always going to be, now we're going to be online and in person. And what we see is it's kind of like the roaring 2020s over again from 100 years ago. So there was the dual threats of the Spanish influenza and and World War I that were keeping people in their homes. And then people emerged out and the 2020s happened from that. So our expectation is that, and we're already starting to see it, is that people have such pent up need to get back out and do things that we're, every single week we're seeing, post Omicron increases as, New York, for example, where we both live, is Omicron cases are down 95% from 6 weeks ago. So we continue to see kind of those increases. And we've been more cash flow positive, believe it or not, during the pandemic than at any point in the company's history.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if you know the story, but I just got to quickly tell you the founding story because it's kind of cool, Christie. So the founding story of the founder, his name is Scott Heiferman, is he was living downtown during 9/11. And when the towers were hit, he went down to his lobby and he saw most of his apartment building were hanging and loitering around the lobby, not knowing what to do, but knowing they needed to be around people. He saw people that lived on his floor for like multiple years who he never met before even. And he said, it shouldn't take a tragedy to get people to build community. And he decided to build the platform Meetup at that time. On June 14th, 2002, he launched the website, which is also my daughter's birthday and also Donald Trump's birthday, coincidentally. And Flag Day, a lot of big days. And he launched the website and it started picking up steam very, very quickly because there was nothing else like it in helping to build community. And then it really hit its crescendo from politics, believe it or not, with Howard Dean in 2004, who at the end of every single rally encouraged people to go to Meetup. And there were hundreds of Howard Dean Meetup groups all around the United States. And then a little known senator named Barack Obama said that anyone that gets at least 100 people to come to my Meetup event I'll show up for in Illinois. And he started using Meetup and all these other politicians started using Meetup and then companies started using, people started using Meetup. And then today we have 57 million members worldwide in 190 countries and, about over 200,000 different communities. So that's the start. And to answer your question very directly, what keeps Meetup going is the human condition. Back in the day, all the way back, Paleolithic, Neolithic man, hunter-gatherers, they survived only because literally of a community. They needed to be around people. It's in our DNA to build community, to be around people. And when you don't have that, you have the loneliness epidemic, and Meetup is the cure for the loneliness epidemic. We see it time and time again, the depression that people have from loneliness, God forbid the suicides and other things that have increased during the pandemic. And what keeps Meetup going is just the innate need of humans to get together and be with other people.
Yep, makes sense. And just to bring it back to your book, so you have 40 something decisions or lessons that you talk about. If you had to just pick one really major one that you want people to come away with, what is it?
Okay, it's this. When making a decision, here's an example of one of them. When making a decision, one of the most important things that people don't account for enough is the importance of optionality in the decision-making process. What I mean by that is whether or not a decision creates significant options for yourself, or whether it is a trap door and minimizes the number of options that you can have. So for example, let's say you're great in finance and you're not sure what you want to do in your career. You could become a trader and you could do commodities trading and do that, and you don't have that many different options that are available to you. Or you can become an investment banker, and then the number of options that you have available to you are so many. Well, when you have a lot of options available to you, the result of that is that all this lucky things end up somehow happening to you. People have always said to me, David, you got so lucky. How did you, I literally just luckily got introduced for this Meetup job. I've never applied for a job in my career besides my first job. Lucky things kind of keep happening. And what I found is that the reason why lucky things happen is because you work hard to create your own luck. And you can make decisions that enable you to end up having lucky things end up kind of happening to you over and over again. And there's kind of a methodology around creating luck that can happen through decision-making. That's one thing kind of talked about in the book.
It sounds very complex, but interesting. The whole business of creating luck sounds like a game theory situation or something. Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks so much for talking. I really appreciate it.
I hope it was helpful, and I'm looking forward to hearing more in the article or anything else that you do.
Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more interviews like this and for more content like this coming soon.